Hey folks. Ah, where'd my damn mouse go? Well, if you want to watch the rest of that young man's video, you will need to use the opening link that I always put in the chat over there under the informational links. And Discord is up and live, just like most everybody's kind of left.
There we go.
Yeah. And Cindy has posted the Discord live if you would like to be heard. And of course, a couple of disclaimers, ladies and gentlemen. We are an adult channel. We are live with Shaman. Shamans typically tend to say what's on our mind. It's not always politically correct, and we might use a little bit of strong language. So if you don't want the kitties hearing the language, you might want to send them outside and join in the conversation. Also, a quick word from our sponsor here over at Loki's Playground. Sponsors both us and Open Pagan Church. Fast NPC respawning rate, which means it's quicker than hell. Keep loot on death. In other words, if somebody kills you, you can go back to your bed or your mat or whatever and respawn with your stuff that you've already got. Double stamina, 10x boosted, active admins, map rooms at every ob. And if you want the Discord link, you have to go to Discord first. Use this link here, and you will be able to see the rules and regulations of that particular server called Loki's Playground. I've watched them build that server, and
Nice.
it's a very interesting server. The people on it are really cool. And that is PS4. That server is not available for PC, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on how you look at it.
It is on PC?
No, it is not on PC.
Oh, it's PS4.
PS4 only. Well, gaming console, I think. I don't know if the other gaming consoles can use those or not. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that shit works.
Have to look into it.
I think they're all separate from what I remember.
Really? So Xbox
Yeah,
and...
They'll do the whole crossplay thing yet.
Oh, that sucks. Gotta have a little crossplay going on, right? Oh, that's crossplay. Anyway. What are we talking about? We are talking about today Temptations of the Shaman. Yeah, we were joking about this earlier in chat. Temptations of the Shaman. Well, yeah, it's kind of like I put in the description area. Temptations are everywhere with everyone. But how do shamans, and I put in parentheses most because, you know, things we talk about on this channel may not fit everyone every time, or all the people all of the time. How do shamans view temptations? Now this tends to piss people off because shamanism tends to have a little bit different moral standard than other paths of paganism, and Celtic shamans may have a little bit different moral standing than other shamans, you know.
Wow.
And you know, it goes on to say, what are your temptations? With some of the things we'll be talking about later on in the broadcast. So let's first start off with you know, what do shamans view as temptations, if you will, that might not always be a good thing? Go ahead.
Shaman temptation for us is the dark side. I, I know that can be anybody, but it can be dark side.
Yeah. Um, and I don't want to sound like Star Wars here, but you know
Yeah.
everybody's got a light side and a dark side, and you know shamans typically we
They
typically
told me
walk
might be
the
a couple
knife
more
edge.
minutes.
You know, we walk that knife edge of what might considered light or dark, right? And we all know energy is energy. It's how you use it, whether or not that energy is used for light or used for dark. Dark doesn't always mean bad. Okay? I've heard people say that you know uh, shamans never use their energy to manipulate others.
Right.
Puke. Wrong. No. It's not good. But that's one of our temptations because most shamanic philosophies are if we don't like the environment, change it. If we go into an environment that we don't necessarily like, rather than getting up and leaving the environment, sometimes we will sit there just out of an out and out challenge, work on changing that environment. I know I used to be really bad about it. Nowadays, I just can't be bothered. If I don't like where I'm at, I just get up and leave. You know. Many shamans, temptation, play with the weather. You know, manipulating the weather. Not my
I
thing.
admit, I play with the wind.
Yep. I don't. Not anymore.
Well, it's like the other day when I was Beltane. I was by myself. I went out to my little circle I have out there, and I put on some music, and I called up my circle, and I asked for a little wind so I could dance and have a little cool breeze. Well, here comes the breeze, and so I did my little dance around the circle, cleansed and had thanked the gods and thanked everything that I needed in my life and what was going on. The blessings for my family that's needed and help what's needed that people need. And the wind, I said, thank you for the wind and released it and called down the circle.
Yeah, but see, here's exactly the point that you made, though, Cindy, as an experienced shaman. I called a little breeze.
Not like the sandstorm on the beach.
Right. Um, you know, sometimes the less experienced generation, I'm not even going to say the younger generation, just the less experienced generation of those, and I'm just going to pick on the shaman path here. I know other paths play with the weather, but you know, a lot of people, some of the newer folk looking into shamanism may not understand the difference in calling the wind and calling a slight breeze.
Did you see me? Good.
You know, so the other thing that I've seen a lot now. I don't want to take this down the wrong path, but shamans are very sexual creatures at the core. Um, we were joking around in Open Pagan Church. You know, one of my nicknames earlier on was a whore dog, and I, at almost 60 years old right now, with the shape my body's in, I can't do anything about it. But I'm still a whore dog. The temptation is there. It'll always be there. Whether or not I act on it, well, it's up to me. And that's not necessarily a shaman thing, that's a personal thing. But most every shaman I've ever met has a sexual quirk of one kind or another. No comment?
No.
But the thing is, okay, shamans are healers. The temptation of shamanism is if someone or something is broke, we want to fix it. Excuse me. Shamans are fixers. We want to fix it. If someone doesn't feel well, we want to help them feel better. If something is broke, we want to try to fix it. If someone doesn't feel good, we want to try to make them feel better, whether they want us to or not. And therein lies the problem with the temptation, because some people, when they feel bad, they just want to be left the hell alone.
Right.
So the temptation of shamanism is kind of a misnomer, because it's the temptation of everyone. Hi, Sabrina. But when we talk about the temptations of shamanism, we're not just talking about the fun stuff. We're talking about tempers, anger, the periodic want of a shaman just to reach out and slap the stupid out of somebody because they're being complete and utter dumbasses. Especially in this day and age, being stupid will get you killed. So, what are, I know we've got Sabrina in chat, and we've got Cindy over in Discord, and I think Thomas is kind of sort of listening in. Thomas
I'm
is,
in chat. I can see you.
Thomas
yeah.
is, Faye. But,
And I got a witch too.
yeah,
He's listening.
Yep, the happy witch and the happy Faye. But, what are some of the temptations that you guys face of your craft that are either good or bad or indifferent? Anybody want to share?
Pretty much the same. I mean, I don't face anything out of the ordinary other than trying
Come on.
to.
Input. Witch.
My biggest one is trying to restrain from using the dragon on somebody.
Yep, temper. Yep.
That's my biggest one. I mean, and even therein, if I do, I suffer for it more so now than I ever have because of age and health.
Oh boy, karma's a bitch.
So.
Well, and doesn't it go down to show everything has a price?
Yeah, I think some of the reason I'm in the condition I'm in is because I used the dragon so much when I was younger.
Right. Well, of course, when we're younger, we feel like we're 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and nothing can stop us.
Yeah.
It was nothing in my younger years for me to call the elements to screw with somebody just because they pissed me off. And everything has a price. For every temptation anybody of a particular craft may have, there's always a price.
Yeah.
But if we talk about the rights and wrongs of different temptations, we also have to look at the philosophy of what's right and what's wrong to individual people. To me, it's a absolute wrong for someone to attack someone just because they have a different lifestyle or they believe differently than they do. However, we still have societies on this planet in 2020 that in their society it's perfectly okay to attack and kill or maim someone because they think differently than the masses. Boy, could we go down that rabbit hole.
Uh-huh.
But you're talking about temptations. Temptations are everywhere. Temptations are a part of life. You know, when it comes down to it, we're tempted to try to use energies to sway the outcome of a situation or an issue. And sometimes those energies come back to bite us in the ass because we gave into that temptation. We may be pushing something to happen that it's not time.
Or it's not meant for us.
Right, not meant for us, yeah. Or we take something personal that wasn't meant for us anyway. We do.
Or because we're just being dumbasses, and we take it personal when it wasn't meant to be personal.
Right. I mean, how many of these videos have we done over the years that somebody will invariably think I'm talking about them personally? No.
Or just get butt hurt in general because you're saying something that they don't agree with, or it bruises their poor little ego.
Oh boy, gotta love egos.
Ego. That's a temptation right there. Give in to ego.
That is an absolute temptation.
To think your shit don't stink.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's a dangerous one.
You were talking about different lifestyles now, and not everybody here knows me and Cindy. We live outside the box, let's say. Okay?
Right.
And for one aspect of our lifestyle, ego is a big temptation because, how do I put this?
Jealousy and fear?
No, ego is a big temptation for one of the aspects simply because of the power allowed that specific aspect, so therefore ego tends to become inflated.
Okay, yep, I get that.
Okay? So there are quite a few in our lifestyle whose ego, they are not entitled to the ego that they have because they cannot carry it properly, and it overloads their ass.
Right. Yeah, mockingbird mouth overloading hummingbird ass.
Right.
But
so,
do we not find, and this is just a thought, but in that temptation of attempting to enforce ego, do we not find that that doesn't span from certain forms of issues with self-esteem?
Well, yeah, it can. A bruised ego can definitely destroy self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. But it also comes down to a temptation of power.
Well, power and ego go hand in hand.
Right. The people that we've dealt with through the years, you in your craft and me in mine, we've dealt with people that come along that, they got the chest pounding thing going on, and they're all this and they're all that, and they've got the my daddy will whoop your daddy syndrome. And eventually you learn it's not about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had younger people come into circle, and I say younger people, these were kids, and they had been going into different paths and crafts and different classes and what have you. And as a seasoned shaman, when I'm calling a shaman circle, I am very structural when I call circle.
Right.
I have zero toleration for bullshit and drama. If you want to bring bullshit and drama into my circle, I'll send your ass home. I don't care.
Right.
Yeah, that could go along with ego, right?
Yeah. Intolerance.
Yeah, yeah. And at the same time, though, there's a thing called respect that a lot of people today don't have.
Well, that therein is ego can affect that, because if your ego is too big, then you have no respect for those that you don't find worthy of you.
Yeah, yeah. So, in retrospect, when we think about people that come into circle, they want to, and of course, this word is a thing now where it didn't used to be, but these people come in and they want to troll your circle.
Right.
We just simply called it bringing drama into the circle, and just take your ass home. I don't care.
Yeah.
But they come in and they want to get on this power trip of, I'm going to interrupt your energy. I'm going to see just how strong you are at conducting and controlling your energy. And it all comes down to it. The temptation in that is to manipulate their own energy in on themselves and force them to have a commode hugging night, if you will.
Right. Or cause them to implode.
Yeah, well, either way.
I don't mean physically.
No, yeah.
Physically.
Yeah, emotionally.
Or spiritually implode.
Yeah.
That's even more fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where therein the karma is not on you any longer, because you actually didn't do anything to them. They did it to themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. But temptations are there all the time. And I like to think that as we get older and are wiser in our path, that we find that most of them just aren't worth it. Or, well, the payment isn't worth the fun that can be brought by some temptations, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
So, but once again, it kind of really goes to prove, and the whole point for the topic is to prove and help people understand that temptation is a human thing. Like you say, it's an ego thing. Temptation is a I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof and you can't hurt me thing, which is driven by ego. But
Right.
sometimes the biggest problem I have, admittedly, is not giving in to the temptation of anger when my bullshit meter has blown clear off the scale.
Yes.
There's some of the crap that people come up with today, always come up with, that just, I have to really take my hand away from the keyboard or really keep my mouth shut, especially because I work with it and deal with it in my job on a daily basis. And that is, just really the temptation to send just the right amount enough energy to someone to really make them have a bad day. But I've learned through experience that that's not always a good day. for me. You know, there are times where it's just not worth it. Most of the time, it's not worth it.
Nope.
So, really, in all honesty, at the end of the day, temptation really has to come down to whether or not you're willing to pay the price for giving into that temptation, or whether or not you're wanting or willing to give in to the physical price sometimes for that temptation. Like you say, ego is a big temptation. Anger, fear is generally brought on by something not understood, or the fear of loss. But that is dangerous of itself, because if we fear we're going to lose something or someone, that will increase the temptation to do something stupid.
Right.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous for everybody involved, really. So as it goes, those of you that, you know, if you're watching our pre-recorded broadcast later on one of our archive channels, put in the text area, or hell, if you want to do a video and attach it to our video, I'm fine with that. Some of your temptations and how you handle them. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone, all of us, in one way, shape, form, or fashion, we deal with temptations. It's how you react to those temptations and how you handle them. It makes a difference. Does anybody have anything else to add?
Not really.
Right. Oh, gotta love these short programs.
Yep.
Well, you guys have a great week. Stay safe out there. And thank you for watching Live with the Shaman. We'll see you next week. Give me some topics. Need topics.
Yep.